My parents chose my ex over me, but now they want him gone.
Well, there he goes.
Sucks to suck, you bet on the wrong horse. All right, you should have bet on the horse you gave birth to. Several years ago, when I was 21, I met this quote-unquote fantastic British boy on an online game. He was in the process of finalizing his divorce from his then wife. I was super respectful when I found out the details of his relationship, even though it was coming to an end. It wasn't until after they were officially divorced and they had moved on that we began talking a bit more seriously about there being an us. And by the way, this comes from user POSTV, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, and Sophia, just to get you up to speed, OP once met a little British boy.
I know me all.
And he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Or so we thought. After several months of video chatting, texting, and emails at work, etc., we decided to meet up. I drove to Florida to meet him, and everything felt like a fairy tale from then on. I honestly believed he was everything to me. We moved in together after we started dating, and after a few months of living together, he expressed wanting to go home, which meant the UK. We worked things out financially, and we zipped off to England, where we lived with his parents for a year. Wow. Okay.
Dang.
During that time, he proposed.
His parents have got to be cool to live with him for a year and then there's no frustration. It leads to you getting proposed. His parents got to be cool.
I don't know. Maybe they're not cool.
We'll find out.
Maybe they're like,
hot.
Maybe they're hot. Ooh. Okay, during that time he proposed, I was over the moon. I said yes, and then we had to have a come to Jesus talk about our situation. In the end, we moved back to the US to complete his permanent residency while living with my parents since he couldn't work at the time. However, during all of this, I was very blind to what was actually happening. In the beginning, his ex-wife had contacted me about how he cheated on her and blah, 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 blah. Being the typical girl in a new relationship high, I figured she was just bitter and angry, and he perpetuated that lie with stories about how she was crazy. You know, the usual.
You always got to be careful when people tell you that their exes were crazy. Sometimes they were crazy, but you got to be like, why was she crazy? Give me some examples of her craziness.
Well, yeah, it's like the same thing as like someone who's like every job they've ever had, they like ended up quitting because their boss sucked.
Yeah.
And it's like, well.
Every job?
Well, like, really? During the course of our relationship, there were a few red flags that he was quick to have stories for. Oh, this girl I'm chatting with? Oh, she's an old friend and we're just catching up.
I'm chatting with? She's no... You gotta do it the next. Oh, this girl I'm chatting with.
I can't do it.
That was so much. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Keep going.
Of course, this was a lie among many others that I found out about after the fact. The biggest lie he told me was near the end of our relationship. I had a best friend named Cynthia, who he had gotten close to. Just a few days before my birthday, he told me they were heading out to the mall to buy me a gift. You know, just a few hours and then he'd be back. He didn't come home until 5 a.m. when I was waking up to get ready for work. He claimed the car broke down on their way home from the mall and they had to call our mutual friend Kim to jumpstart the engine.
And they never texted you any of that?
Yeah, which, as is, we all know, jumpstarting a car takes 9 hours. We all know that.
That was such an obvious lie. That was such an obvious lie.
Just pathetic. Well, the mall closed at 10 p.m. and when I spoke to Kim about it, she said she met up with them just past 11 p.m. to help out and that they were very wasted and touchy-feely. She said she felt awkward the entire time and asked why I wasn't there. She said they both claimed that they had asked me to hang out, but I said no. Lo and behold, on my birthday, neither of them had a gift for me. At that point... Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, what were you doing for all of those hours from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m.?
Babe, I got a gift for you. It's a new girlfriend for me. And I think we're going to break up. I love you so much. Happy birthday.
That's like 20 hours.
God.
Dude, that's like 20 hours. What were you doing in the 20 hours?
Her.
Dang, man. Stamina.
At that point, it was pretty obvious that something had happened, and with previous evidence, I was finally done with his BS. I gave him back the ring and informed my parents that our relationship was over. Keep in mind, I confided in my mother a lot. Growing up, we were very close, and I always went to her when I had issues or was frustrated. She knew about everything, and I mean everything. I told my mother that I was contacting his parents and I was arranging to buy his plane ticket back home to the UK with my own money. As I saw it, he had cheated on me, and it was time to have him move out so we could both move on with our lives. At this time, I was 22, nearing 23. I was very wrong about this. My mother and my father decided to put their feet down and told me that I brought him back to America, so we needed to sort our crap out. They also refused to let him move into the guest bedroom.
Wait, what?
What?
Wait, your parents forced you to stay with him?
What?
What?
And wait, and they wouldn't put him in the guest bedroom?
They were like, you have to live with him.
They
What?
made you share a bedroom with the guy who had cheated on you on your birthday and didn't get you a gift.
Wow.
I'm sleeping outside, dude.
Yeah.
I'm getting an REI membership. I'm buying a tent. I'm sleeping outside, and then I'm returning the tent.
And then you return it. Yeah. Dude, returns with REI are no joke. It's great.
You know, and if I fall in love with the tent, maybe I keep it.
Yeah.
Anyways, for the next 6 months, I lived in hell. He was verbally and emotionally abusive, didn't respect any of my boundaries. I worked 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., and he was constantly up until 4 or 5 a.m. on Skype with new girls and gaming buddies, being super loud. The list goes on and on. It was awful. Just take my word for it. On top of it all, I was constantly arguing with my parents about it. They saw absolutely nothing wrong with what was happening and that we needed to be adults and work it out.
I mean,
So now
I'm wondering right now, because we don't know we kind of know OP's financial situation. She's staying with her parents because they're saving money. Was that it? Did they say?
Yeah, it was just a situation where they're living with their parents in this here. And, you know, you can make the logical leap if it's like they're 22, 23, living at home, saving money, starting careers.
My advice for you, because I don't think you can get through to him. You can't get through to your parents. Do so much research to find literally anywhere else you can live than this.
Yeah. Get out.
Get out.
And like, you know, this is more for anyone who may find themselves in a situation like this. Yeah, it's just, so the parents are being so absurd. I don't understand it. And I think if I was OP, I would immediately be like, oh, so, okay, mom, who did you cheat on dad with while you were engaged? Oh, you didn't? Dad, who did you cheat on mom with when you were engaged? Oh, you didn't? Oh, so so you're both just talking right out of your butts. Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. So nothing changed until I finally had a nervous breakdown and told them that if he didn't go, I would move out and take my $500 in rent and utilities elsewhere. Girl, you already paying rent? Oh.
You're already paying rent. Leave. Yes. Just leave. Take your $500 elsewhere.
Yes.
Please.
They promptly agreed to let him move into the guest bedroom.
Why didn't we do that from the start? Why didn't we do that 6 months ago?
Oh, God. However, he refused to move into the other bedroom. For the next week and a half, I had to argue with him about moving his things. I finally got sick of it and moved his crap myself when he was out on a date with Cynthia. We weren't friends anymore at this point, obviously. Once he moved into the guest bedroom, things were okay. I was able to lock myself away in my room when I wasn't at work, and I really just poured myself into my job and doing art on the side for additional income. It was a crappy situation to be in, but I was trying to make it work. Unfortunately, it only got worse. It became clear that my parents were choosing his side over mine.
Boy.
You know what this is?
You guys aren't even together and they're letting him live in their house.
You know, sometimes through no fault of their own, people are just a sucker for a British accent.
They're like, oh, no, but darling, he's British.
He's
British. He says
hear
things
him,
to me like, love. Hello, love.
They hear him on the phone through the wall with Cynthia saying, Oi, Cynthia, do you want
Cynthia,
to go down to the pub,
Cynthia,
get a little pint?
You proper fit,
Pop
Cynthia.
down.
I love...
I can't wait to show off your proper fit body to everyone down there at the Pubberooski.
What?
And they just go, swoon.
Oh, my goodness. So
Swoon.
romantic.
That's going to be our son-in-law. And it's not their fault. It's the British's fault.
It's the British.
For speaking so hot.
Speak too hot, man.
Anyway. Keon, you have something to say?
Yeah, what, you got something wrong with the British accent?
Keon, you have something wrong with the British? With the Brits? You got a problem with Brits?
I love a good Carlsberg. You don't even know what that is.
Carlsberg. I know what a Carlsberg is.
Yeah? What is it?
It's Carl's. First of all. So, it became clear that my parents were choosing his side over mine. He said a lot of nasty things about me to them, and I got to hear about them through them in a, I can't believe you did this way. My mother started leaving me nasty written letters under my door, and whenever I would confront her, she would say everything she'd written was true because my ex-fiance had told her.
Whoa.
Okay.
She's like, the British man told me this was true. He would never lie to me.
As you will know, that it states clearly in the Magna Carta that
You
a British
cannot
man cannot lie.
A British man must tell the truth. I have said so. You can't lie to me.
I reminded her that all of this information she was getting was coming from the mouth of a lying cheater, and she was going to take his word over mine, her own daughter. Well, that's exactly what she did. When I had managed to save up enough money, I pieced out and moved out without a dang word to anyone. I had a friend several states away who was kind enough to let me rent out their spare bedroom, and that's what I rocked for a solid year before I met my current boyfriend and moved in with him. I'm in a happy, solid place in my life, and I'm almost 27. Ooh. Ages. My ex-fiance still lives with my parents after 5 years.
That's so funny. That's so funny. And they deserve it so much. Oh my goodness. Imagine being like, you're telling your friends or your new partner, and they're like, you're talking about exes and stuff. And you say, yeah, I had a really terrible experience with my last ex. He lives with my parents. And they're like, oh, he lives with his parents? No, he lives with my parents. Still, 5 years later.
Yeah, he cheated on me on my birthday, and then he moved in with my parents. And they like him more. That's
what?
Absurd.
What?
That's actually
Oh my
one of the craziest things.
Yeah,
that they could have done. So my ex-fiance still lives with my parents. In the time after we broke up until I moved out, he didn't have a job and thus didn't pay rent or anything else.
That's insane.
Wasn't he out here going to school?
I'm sorry.
What was he doing?
He Britished so hard that they were like, you don't have to pay for anything. You can just stay in the room. It's fine.
What would the accent actually have to sound like? What if he just always...
does he have to... Maybe he's a posh British man.
Was he posh? Maybe he
very-
was Jason Statham.
Oh.
He's like, I'm the transporter.
Oh, and
I've
they're
got
like,
people
whatever
to
you
transport.
say.
And then he just
Got
goes
him.
outside and he watches clips from The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Maybe he's an
And then he
older
comes
man.
back in 8 hours later and he says, oh, that was a long day at work.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's so mysterious.
That was a long day at work with Chelsea. Oh, she's gorgeous. I'd cheat on her. I'd cheat with her any day of the week.
I'm a sucker for a lady with a name Cynthia. That one didn't sound like Jason Statham. That was just
I don't know how
guttural.
to do a Jason Statham accent, so I'm just
All you
doing a
have to say
deeper
is
British voice.
Transporter.
Transporter.
No,
this-
transporter.
Transporter.
Yeah, I'm the transporter. All right, that one was bad too. Okay, so this jobless, penniless British man is living with OP's parents.
Yeah, and he's providing a service.
However-
being British.
However, he did complete his permanent residency and is now allowed to work. After I moved out, I didn't speak to my parents unless it was absolutely required. I called on Christmas, New Year's, Mother's Day, etc. I didn't give my parents my address though. I was fine with cutting all ties with my family since it was clear they were going to support my jackbutt, lazy ex-fiance. So that was just over 3 years ago. Yes, he still lives with them. Over time, my relationship with my mom got a bit better, but she's never apologized for what happened. That's okay. I don't expect one from her, but I won't make her a priority in my life. The other day, I got a random Facebook message from my ex-fiance's mother asking me to message him because he had a question for me. I was hesitant at first, but unblocked him on Facebook, and I asked him what was up. He asked me about my TV and my papasan chair. What the heck is a papasan chair?
I think it's what I have.
Like a nest?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Like
we've
a
been over
pillow
this
nest
before.
chair?
It's like,
I believe it's what
or
I
like
have.
how do you pronounce that? It's like
I think it's
papason?
I thought it was
Papason.
papasan.
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 Hey,
Papasan.
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 Papasa, dude.
When we were living with my parents, I bought both of these things, and when I moved out, I left them behind because I didn't have room in my car. I refused to make a second trip out of fear of dealing with him or my family. He said since he had been using them since I left, he just wanted to ask if he could take them since he was moving out of my parents' house and into his own place. I said I didn't care. Honestly, I wasn't going to be getting those things back, and I really did not give two craps if he took them without my permission. That was the extent of our conversation. Girl, if you don't tell this dude he needs to pay you for taking your belongings,
Yeah.
I'm mad at you now.
Get that money, man. Say, yeah, I'll take all your money, please.
Yeah, sure, you can have it for a price that I will determine.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm selling it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. What?
Which is where I'll be finding my next roommate.
Yeah, and if you want money, you can sell it on Facebook Marketplace and I'll give you a commission.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, give this man nothing. He's taking your parents.
He's taking your parents. They couldn't have been that good in the first place.
Well, it's, again, the British accent. It's not their fault.
Not their fault.
Which we're joking. But a few hours later, I got an angry phone call from my mother asking, why in the heck would I give him permission to take the TV and the chair? I said, to be honest, I didn't give a dang. I hadn't seen either of those things in over 3 years, and I wasn't that goddamn attached to them. If he was going to use them, so what? It's not like I was going to get any use out of them anyway. So then she went on a tirade about how he hasn't been paying rent since May and that he's knocked up Cynthia but left her for another girl. Shocking.
Dude, I don't feel bad for these parents one bit. I'm sorry. Spicy Chef says, why the heck would they give him permission to continue to live in their house? Because there's a sucker for a British accent.
It's just all around absurd
Agreed.
on so many different levels.
Agreed.
It's just absurd that the mom has the gall to complain about the ex-fiance to her daughter that
When
she
her
abandoned over this guy.
And her daughter said, please kick him out. He has to go. And they said, no, like, your fault. Your fault.
Yeah, they said, no, you're actually a failure because you're abandoning your marriage. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, because they're not even
But
married.
you brought him to the States, so it's like you've essentially signed the contract.
Aye.
Yeah. So he's not paying rent. He got Cynthia pregnant. His room is an episode of Hoarders Gone Wrong. Blah, 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 blah. Also, while my mother was in the nursing home, she has failing health, and my dad was visiting my ex through a huge party that my uncle came home to.
Oh, I thought I misread that as came to.
Yeah, your uncle my uncle showed up, and that really was bad because my uncle goes way too far at the party.
Oh, Lord.
My uncle comes over to make sure the house is okay while my mom's in the hospital or the nursing home when she has really bad episodes. I spoke to him, and he said it was close to 40 to 50 people who trashed the house. The list of, malfeasance goes on and on. My mother then told me I had to deal with my ex-fiance since it was originally my idea to bring him around.
And I'd say, no. Bye.
What are their heads full of rocks? These
They
people
don't have to let him stay there. I don't understand why they don't just say leave.
Is your mom in the hospital because she did the experimental procedure where they replace her brain with a freaking boulder? Huh? What's going on? What's happening?
Rock surgery.
Keon, what's happening?
Everyone wants to know what's happening.
What's going?
Because if someone's in your house and they're not paying you any rent and they're not behaving themselves, you just say, hey, get out of my house.
Okay. Apparently, she and my father had been trying to get him out for months, but he either wasn't listening or said he would move out by a certain date and then never would. I told her to call the police and have him forcibly removed, since it's their house, and if they're removing him, they can escort him out and watch as he takes his things. She said no, that wouldn't do, and that I needed to handle this situation.
I'd say, bye. Hang up. There's so many times in this phone call that I'd be hanging up.
This is when I absolutely lost it. I reminded her of all the BS I had to go through with him and her, and how in the end, both she and my father supported him in his words over me. They paid for everything he needed, such as clothes and little death sticks, those aren't cheap, to cater to every need like he was their little baby. Yet if I was a day late on my rent because I was waiting for payday, oh no, throw me in the lake of fire, I'm an irredeemable monster. I reminded her that he had cheated on me, and when I made it clear our relationship was over, they refused to let him move out of the house, much less my room, until I finally snapped and threatened to move out. I reminded her of every letter she slipped under my door, every nasty insult she flung my way because he had lied to her, blah, 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 blah. I said, no, I'm not helping. She made her decision when she chose him over me, and she needs to stick to it and get him out of the house if that's what she truly wanted now. It sucked getting that rude with my mother, but she had to know where I stood and the position she was trying to place me in. However, it's not as easy as that.
Dang it. Ow.
My mother is very sick. She is constantly in and out of the hospital with heart and lung issues. She lives on an oxygen tank now, and any amount of stress can trigger a whole slew of issues. Her doctors have warned her multiple times that stress could give her a stroke. I've already lost my grandmother to a stroke, so I don't want my mother to go the same way. A part of me feels responsible for the situation, since I don't want my mother to have to put up with him. After my conversation with my mother, I sent my ex-fiance another message. I told him that after speaking to my mother, I wasn't comfortable with him taking anything, including the TV or chair. I said those things were to remain where they are, and he is not allowed to take them. I said this was my first and last message to him regarding the issue, and to resolve this as peacefully as possible with my parents. They deserve that much. To be safe, I screenshotted the message and sent it to my mother as well, and then blocked him on Facebook again. So my question is, did I handle this the right way? I feel incredibly bad that I don't want to do anything more for my parents, but at the same time, I also feel that they made their bed and have to lie in it now. If anyone else has gone through something similar, what would you do? Should I call the police for them? Should I make a visit? What are they, your kids? They're your parents.
Your mom might not be doing well, but your dad seems fine. He can handle it.
Yeah, where's dad? Here's the solution right here. Mom goes and spends an afternoon with a friend, if she has one, and dad calls the cops and they forcibly remove your terrible ex from the house.
We love it. Solutions.
Mom doesn't have to deal with any of the stress.
Nothing.
He's gone.
Yeah.
The day is saved.
Yay.
And you don't have to be involved. So what do I do? Should I make a visit? I'm at a loss since I feel I've done enough, but not enough, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Any help or advice is much appreciated. Thank you so much. And hey, by the way, we would thank you so much if you listened to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio or wherever you beautiful people listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and you've got the whole world in your hands. You've got...
world.
I need more. I've used that one. You've got the kit and caboodle. I've used that one too.
You've got the
keys to the kingdom. That's a new one. I haven't used that one yet.
Yeah, sure.
You've got the touch.
You've got the power.
That a girl.
Bam, 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 bam.
Oh boy. Samantha L says, why didn't they legally evict that leech? Because they're silly. They're silly.
I mean, and depending on where you are, like sometimes, you know, I think California has recently changed like squatters' rights or
yeah, if he was there for 5 years, he might have some kind of say over it.
But if you're not paying rent, you know, yeah. And California did recently, I think, change a lot of that to where it's basically a more streamlined process. But regardless, yeah, your parents sort of made their bed, dude. So it's not your fault that they're laying in it now. It's unfortunate that your mom has health problems. Like, of course, you know, you're not a demon. Like, you're not wishing that upon your mom. But you know what? I've said it before. I'll say it again. When you have health problems, when you have health complications, the responsibility of dealing with that lies upon you. You know?
And also, you know, like if you like, this kind of goes into parents who are old and expect their kids to take care of them. If you didn't treat your kids well when they were children or throughout their life, you can't really expect them to want to take care of you when you're old and need taken care of. So treat your family members well, and then you'll get someone to take care of you when you're old.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Dad should be doing this. Looking at some comments here. It says, Amy Lynn says legal eviction would mess with his immigration status too. Yes. Yeah, let's finish this story. Yeah. There's an edit. Thank you, everyone who has responded to this. I didn't expect this post to absolutely explode with some amazing advice and some harsh realizations and great support. I've tried to respond to everything I could, and I've read every single comment that's been made so far. You guys are amazing. I think I've gotten everything I need from this thread, but I will continue to read and comment on anything new if I can. I can't say that there will be an update, but should I find out anything of worth, I'll be sure to post that in the future. And that is the end of that story. Yeah, your dad, OP, needs to be, if your mom is like to the point where stress can give her a stroke, and they literally exiled you in favor of the man who cheated on you on your birthday, they can go ahead and navigate that themselves. They're adults.
Agreed.
They're fully grown.
Full-grown adults, man.
And if, you know, they can't figure out how to go, you know, day by day without giving your mom a stroke after being told what to do by the doctors to prevent it, it's in no way on you.
Nope. Not at all.
So, yeah, that's the end of that story.
Ah, Lord.
We got another one, though.
We have another one.
We got another one.
But let's get into this next story. My parents disapprove of my boyfriend, especially when he asked for my hand.
Well, he's already got 2 of them.
My SO and I have been together for about 4 years and have been living together since May. We have just moved across the state to finish our degrees so as to be more employable. SO and I decided that after our first semester, if we had pulled grades and proven to ourselves that we could be responsible, we would talk about getting engaged. We both love each other very much and know that we want to be together.
I just got to really quickly point out that that's my favorite way getting, like, the reasoning for getting a degree has been described.
Yeah.
For the purposes of being more employable.
Employable.
However they said it. Oh, I didn't say it right, but it was perfect.
It was funny. By the way, this comes from Don't Hate Masticate, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So
I have to be that guy and say, do we all know what that means?
Yes, to chew.
You didn't give Keon time to not
This past semester, we both made the dean's list and had our engagement talk. We decided that we do want to get married and want to take the next step. He called his parents and told them he'd be asking me to marry him, and they were very happy. I am extremely close with my family. My family has had reservations about SO since we began dating. When SO and I first met, he worked and lived at a hotel. I worked and lived in my own apartment. We both did not have bachelor degrees. To my parents at 27, SO had no prospects as he had no degree and was not in school. Lived in a hotel and barely made any money. After about a year of us dating, I lost my job and had to move home. I decided that I wanted to go back to school to finish my degree. So SO was someone I could see myself with for a very long time, and I knew that in order to be able to do the things I wanted, get married, have a family, support myself financially, I needed to have a degree. SO agreed that he should also go back to school for the same reasons.
I just want to say, you can always go to trade school.
It's also true.
People who have plumbing businesses make a lot of money, but you have to crawl under houses.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't
not
be a
everyone
plumber.
wants to be a plumber.
I couldn't be a plumber because I'm so scared of bugs.
That's true. He decided on an associate's in IT. He pulled straight A's and I effed around with B's and C's. My parents were happy that he was going back to school and understood that IT was a lucrative field. They weren't too ecstatic about the associates, but knew that he didn't need a full-on bachelor's for IT. Last year, SO and I had a discussion about our degrees. He was taking 2 classes, and I could only afford one online at a time. We both agreed that being full-time students was what we wanted and began working towards that. In August, we moved across the state to attend university full-time. Now that we're here, we live off of financial aid. SO could only take 3 classes because he did not get as much financial aid as I did, and we couldn't afford for him to take another class. I feel like this is a sacrifice he has made for us. My parents see it as he's only taking 3 classes. Because of his extra time, they believe he should get a job. Our first semester, we both thought that we did not need extra money. We did not budget well, and by December, we were basically broke. We used holiday money and a $200 loan from my parents to get by until our loans came in for the next semester. I found a job that is not the greatest fit for me physically, but I'm willing to do it so we have a cushion for the summer when we do not get financial aid.
Their job is being the the practice partner for like a WWE wrestler.
Yeah, they're like, it's not great. It does hurt.
The
My
work
body
is
is
taxing,
bruised.
but it pays all right.
I take 4 classes, am VP of my academic club. I put a lot of time, effort into my club because I truly enjoy it. Just got offered an internship and have a weekend job that I have not started yet. I have also applied to other student jobs. He takes 3 classes, takes care of all the household duties except cooking, which I enjoy, and hangs out on the internet. To my parents, my SO is a lazy, unmotivated F-up. That doesn't...
Oh, we
That
lost
doesn't make
Let's
sense.
View.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean both.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. And also, am I going to sit like this now? My back was starting to hurt. Oh, boy.
Apparently, he has no spark when he talks about his education. He does not love IT, but knows he can make a living. And they think he just goes with the motions. They also think his personality is annoying. He's boisterous. Hipster type. What does that mean?
Do those line up
Yeah,
as
no,
types?
those are kind
Usually
of opposite.
boisterous hipsters.
Yeah.
What is a boisterous hipster?
I have
Like
no idea.
Steven Tyler?
I am a go-getter. He's not. They do have a point about him needing to get a job. With 3 classes, he does have the time to work, and we need the money. I should not be the only one working, especially because I have a lot on my plate. SO agrees, but has low self-esteem via employment, as he only really delivered pizzas and worked as a telemarketer. Wait, what? I'm sorry, he has low self-esteem about employment? He's like, oh, well, I just couldn't get a job, so I'm not going to even try.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you
Maybe your
you
parents
miss
have a point.
100% of the shots you don't
Yeah.
take. You strike out 100% of the at-bats you don't swing.
I understand why your parents wouldn't be cool with that. Jobs are also very hard to come by in our small rural town. I feel he needs to push his feelings of inadequacy out of the way and just try for jobs no matter what. Yeah, that's kind of life advice for anyone.
Yeah, dude, you can literally, have you heard, I literally
What?
just talked about Steven Tyler. Have you ever heard about fake it till you make it? Literally, just show up and be like,
Get a
I could do this
job,
job
dude.
and figure it out.
SO called my parents 2 days ago to ask for my dad's blessing on our engagement. My dad said yes to SO, but I found out later that he only agreed because he felt blindsided and thought, how could I say no? My dad is against us getting married for the time being until SO can prove that he can be a provider. I'm honestly not fully disagreeing with the parent. I get where they're coming from. They're saying they want this guy who's supposedly going to be marrying their daughter to have money.
Yeah, perfectly reasonable to be like,
reasonable.
well, we don't want him to just be doing pizza delivery.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, right now he doesn't even have a job. That's the thing. He has 0 job and he's taking 3 classes.
That is the thing.
Like, dude, I was taking 5 to 6 classes and I had a job and I was doing like shows. You can get a job. My mom wants me to meet someone else. I understand where my dad is coming from. I truly do. But in my mind, SO and I going back to school was proof that SO was serious about getting his life on track. Yes, but good job. Good job.
Just needs more time. Just like don't rush into this. It just needs more
Don't get
more
married
gathering
quite
of
yet.
information.
After his degree, he would be able to get a job in his field. He will probably end up making more money than I will in my field. I know we cannot survive on love alone. Love does not pay the bills. My SO is my best friend. He has been with me through some very tough times. He takes care of me. I suffer from anxiety and can feel panicky at times. He supports all of my endeavors and is always happy to lend a hand. He dressed up like a Disney character for one of my club events and took pictures with the kids from the community for 2 days. He pushes me to do well, as I can sometimes fall into a procrastination spiral. And he does everything around the house. Emotionally, he is everything I have ever wanted in a partner. We respect each other and are able to talk out our problems. We have healthy, spicy sleep life and find each other both physically and spicy relatedly attractive. This is not to say we don't fight, but we are careful when we do. I am heartbroken that my parents basically said no. I am offended by some of the things my mom said. Thinking about our engagement had filled me with such excitement and love for my SO. And now when I think about it, I cry because I'm so disappointed that my parents do not support us. I mean, prove them wrong, you know? You could still get married even without, like, obviously it would be nice to have their approval, but
Right.
you could just be like, hey, you know, we'll be doing fine, and then hopefully they'll come around.
Yeah, I mean,
it sucks.
there's more to a partnership than financial security or
Sure.
like, it sounds like you all have a pretty solid thing going on. But yeah, with maybe that just means y'all aren't just ready to make that move yet. There's just no need to rush.
It's like it's not like
There's
your
no rush.
relationship's over.
And you don't need their approval. At the end of the day, it doesn't
exactly.
matter.
That's my point. It's like once you are successful and stuff, they'll realize.
Like,
but also, it doesn't really matter what they think.
Anytime it's just about money too, it's like so what if I married a doctor and he was just like
the worst
person
Exactly.
ever?
Yeah, they are only thinking about money. And again, like to an extent, I see where they're coming from. But also, again, you can get married if you want to. They don't, they're not officiating. They don't have to say yes.
Yeah, it's true. You're getting married, not your parents. But quick pause here for our members. Jaliba is popping off. They got a phone call that their cousin passed away, and they will be here tomorrow. Hearts in the chat, please. And I'm so sorry about that. I mean, good luck.
Yeah, thoughts with your
thoughts
family.
with you and with your fam.
But we're gonna keep reading, and I hope that we'll be here for when you get back. SO and I had a long talk last night. He agrees he needs to get a job. He has applied to what he can in our area and says he'll keep looking until something sticks. Good. I feel like even if he does this, it will not be good enough for my parents. Maybe that it won't be. And then you're like, he is applying now and they don't even care. And it's like, okay. I want to marry this man. How can I continue with an engagement when no one will be happy for us? I know that all that matters is us, but it means a lot to me what my family thinks. They are not fans of his. I do not know if this will change. Ours is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in, but no one seems to notice that. I'm at a loss. And there is an update.
And the only thing that's not healthy is the wallet.
Yeah.
Look.
And he's already said he's got to get a job. And that's, that was my only critique.
Yeah, all you can do is enjoy what you have. And like you said, it's like it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to care what your parents have to say, but
if your parents truly love you, which I hope that they do, and care about you, then they will see as this relationship continues that he loves and supports you and is trying to better himself for your relationship, and they'll come on board. But right now, they're not really looking at the intricacies of your relationship.
Only 2 people on earth who really need to be excited about you getting engaged are you and your partner.
Dingus Bot. Who is OP?
Come on, Dingus. Come on, Dingus. Failure.
Oh, dingus.
Failure.
But there is an update. The first few weeks after all this happened, my SO and I were in a serious depressed funk. This all hit me harder than anyone for obvious reasons. And I started my semester off pretty crappy, which isn't good. I spoke with my parents a lot after the initial sadness wore off. My dad stayed true to what he said, that he had my best interest in mind and was worried about my financial future. My mom's apologies were half-hearted, but we eventually got to a place of understanding. My SO remained hurt, humiliated, and angry for a while. He is still hurt and angry, but he's been able to deal with his feelings better as time has gone on. We went back to couples counseling, and that was really helpful. He also started seeing a psychiatrist, his idea, and has been taking antidepressants. I am really proud of him as he comes from a family that does not believe mental health is a thing. My SO and I have both agreed to put off our engagement until we had some savings in our bank account. That's just like smart thinking.
Huzzah! We got there.
And things were more stable both financially and emotionally between our families. He has been looking for work, but he has not been able to gain employment just yet. I, on the other hand, found a job and am working as a social media manager at a consulting firm. My mom and dad called us a few weeks ago to let us know that they wanted to start over with my SO. This is all looking good.
We're on the right track.
They want to let go of the past and just move forward. They love me and have my back, but also understand that I love my SO and that we have a very solid relationship. They do not want to be the reason we break up if that were to happen. My dad called my SO and apologized for the conversation they had when my SO asked him to marry me. My dad felt bad about the situation and let my SO know that he is hopeful that we are on our way to becoming financially secure and happy. Coming out of this, I respect my parents a lot. I am not happy with their feelings towards my SO, but I am happy that they love me enough to bring their concerns to me, but respect my decisions. I'm also happy that my SO took this as a little hitting rock bottom, his words, situation, and has now been getting stuff in order to work. Love. I think that's pretty much it for now. Nothing is 100%, and it's not like this is all puppies and rainbows, but things are better, and I've settled down. I really like my new job and hope that my SO will be able to find employment soon. If not now, then definitely over the summer when a lot of the students go home for break. Again, thank you so much for all the help. Reddit can be a really awesome place. And there is a second update. We're on the right track. We are on the right track and we love to see it. Things are happening. Balls rolling up. We love it.
Update's going to be, we make $1 million a year and we have 7 children and we are all doing great.
Bad Pool Girl says, yay, sounds like dad straightened mom out. Yeah, it does sound like, they had a really good talk. And she was like, you know what? I was reacting pretty harshly. And again, it does seem like it's coming from a place of true, caring about you and wanting you to have a financially stable life. But it was just misguided.
And much like we are never clued in fully into any given situation we read about, your parents probably aren't fully clued in to everything, but they just see this guy who doesn't make any money wants to they're gonna get engaged.
Yeah.
I worry for you. Yeah. I am worried.
But there is a second update. So this will be the last update. To refresh my SO, I'll call him Brad, and I were keen on getting engaged. He called my dad to get the okay and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
It didn't sound like a Brad. It sounded more like a Vlad, the way you said that.
Brad.
Vlad.
Since my last update, I have been employed by the same company since March. Congrats. I love my job. I am working in my field, and I am very appreciated at work. Brad barely searched for work.
Oh, no. The
ball's rolling down the hill.
No.
The ball is Sisyphus.
No.
It's Sisyphus. No. He had 2 interviews in the time between then and now, January to July. He only had 2 interviews?
In 6
months? From January to July? Your parents were right. Your parents know better.
Maybe he's like, I'm only interviewing for positions I feel like I'm really, worthy of as someone with pizza delivery experience and telemarketing.
Super rough when your parents get to go, I told you so.
I'm only applying for CEO positions.
And never gained employment. Throughout these past few months, Brad and I have been fighting a lot. I tried to be supportive of his search for a job, which he lied to me about. He never truly looked too hard, and of his schoolwork, he got straight A's again. In late March, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. Brad was an okay support, but it was hard for him as he really dislikes all members of my family. Brad, I was rooting for you, man. I was rooting for you, and you're letting me down. By the end of the semester, I was nagging Brad a lot about finding a job. By this time, we actually needed the money as our student loans would run out, and what I make at my job isn't enough to support 2 people. Like I said, and he admits this, he barely looked for work. He ran out of money and I began to support us both on whatever was left of my student loans, my tax return, and what I made at my job. He spent his last cash on devil's lettuce and t-shirts. Wow, this guy sucks.
What?
He began smoking devil's lettuce all day, every day. We began to move further away from each other. 2 weeks ago, my dad passed away due to complications from surgery.
God.
I am heartbroken and functioning okay, but very overwhelmed that my dad passed away suddenly and my mom began chemo last week.
Wow.
My family is just, I don't know. We're pulling together. What a freaking turn. This story was going so well.
Well, I mean, in a way, now you should know that this is not someone you want to marry.
No.
Or that you're not ready to marry, or he's not ready to marry. Like, in the moment where he needs to step up the hardest, he is now fully gone to sleep.
At the time of my dad's death, Brad was just not emotionally available. He was of no support to me. At my dad's Shiva, Brad was incredibly rude to my family and myself. I barely spoke to him the rest of the time I was back home. When we both got back into town, I broke up with him. Yeah.
Yep.
We are currently living in the same house until my apartment is ready in August. He wants to stay friends.
Why?
Why would I want to be friends with someone like you? Why would I want to be friends with someone who doesn't support me when my parent passes away? Why would I want that?
Oh, things are getting hard. I've become emotionally unavailable. Sorry about that.
Bad friend. He wants to stay friends. I'm not sure what I want. I think you are. I think you know what you want. At this moment, he is out buying devil's lettuce with our friend while I wait at our house for his parents to come as they are visiting for the next few days. His priorities are super effed. I am happy to be moving into my new place and to start the next chapter of my life. I just wish my dad was here to see it. Ugh. And there is a 9-year update. There's a 9-year update, folks, and I'm really hoping that it's OP's super happy and married and is rich.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy sucks.
Okay, so they're going to be like, so remember that guy who abandoned me? They're like, he came up with an app and it made $78 trillion.
Yeah, he's
or
super
something
rich
like,
now.
He'll be like, it's just going to just be another switcheroo.
Yeah.
But yes, correct move. I don't know.
Yeah, break up.
If you can't swallow your own crap at someone's funeral.
Ridiculous.
Who
I don't
is
care
the
if you
parent
hate
of your-
everyone there. Be respectful at a funeral.
Dude, it's your partner's
on.
dad.
Come on.
You're what?
Yeah.
Just don't go.
Just don't go.
If
you
you're gonna
can't be respectful.
You're
Come
gonna be
on.
angsty in like a. Look. There's just nothing left to be said.
Nope. Miss Jaybird says X is a loser. Parents clocked it. Sometimes your parents are right.
You just smell it on them.
9 years later. It's been 9 years since I wrote those updates. I reread them today and I just cried at all the comments saying how wonderful my dad was and how my parents were looking out for me. They were. They absolutely were. Soon after my dad passed away, my mom followed about 18 months later. Oh, so sorry, OP. I left my university city and moved home to take care of her. My family was with her when she passed. We were so lucky to have been there together. After Brad and I broke up, we stayed friends for a while, and he turned out to be a better friend than boyfriend for a bit. He moved away, and I moved back home to take care of my mom. I met a guy about a month after I moved home. I'll call Frank. Frank and I dated for a few years, and during that time, Brad moved home. We hung out once or twice, but it felt awkward, so I distanced myself a little. The nail in Brad's coffin was when his mom had an accident and passed away. Ugh. And he said a lot of nasty things to me. I know it was the grief talking, but I just didn't want to be his friend anymore and deal with his mood swings. Frank and my relationship blossomed. He was such a huge support when my mom passed away and took such great care of me. He's like no one I had ever been with. We moved in together, and then we got engaged and married. We'll be married 3 years soon. We bought a house. We've been together for 7 years. Sometimes, you have to go through a couple frogs to find your prince.
And sometimes your prince is a frog disguised as a frog.
And sometimes you can find full episodes of stories just like this. If you go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime, there is a teensy bit left to this story. And I think we've said all that we've got to say.
The caffeine's making my eyeballs vibrate.
I have to pee so bad, but we're going to hit this story.
I think we all simultaneously just hit the moment of like, oh.
Since the beginning of the story, I've been dying. So I got to finish the story up. Frank and my siblings get along so well. We all hang out all the time, and it's so nice to have my family around all the time again. I know my parents would have loved Frank. He is so kind and loving and funny too. My friends and family adore him. I feel lucky to have come through such heartbreak. Things aren't perfect, are they ever? And I deal with my grief every day, but I have so many loving people around me that show me they care, and I feel happy most days. I miss my mom and dad so much. I'm just grateful for the love they gave me when they were here. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
And the end of the episode.
And the end of that episode.
That's not quite the end.
If you
My
love us,
final
stay
thoughts.
here and
Stay
watch
here
the
and
next
listen to my final
story.
thoughts. No, we have to
Or
speak
the
our final thoughts.
Oh, cool.
Final thoughts to anyone out there whose family members are critical of your partner. Just take a minute, listen to what they're saying, and try and see if you can parse out, is there criticism coming from a place of genuine love and care for you and like slight worry? Or is it coming from a place of, I hate you and I'm critical of everything that you ever done and I hate everyone you ever bring home from, is it coming from that? Or they're just a little bit worried because, maybe we have a little bit more life experience than you because we're older than you. And we sense that, maybe you guys are not ready for this.
Nobody in this life has a crystal ball that tells them the
No.
future, but sometimes people have gone through things that'll afford them more insight to a given
Exactly.
situation.
And you can, before you immediately write it all off, take a minute, listen to the advice and then try and decide, does this advice apply or no?
And based on where he ended up going with his behavior, I feel like there were probably some pretty
Big. I mean, he didn't have a
blatantly
job.
obvious red flags.
He
in
was
terms
taking
of,
3 classes and living off of OP's money and a loan. So,
pretty hard to
Dorette
fix
says,
that.
would this be considered a happy ending? I think so. OP's living, obviously we've
dude.
had a lot of hardship in her life, but most very few people live life without any hardship. And she got love from it in the end. So
Yeah,
I think
married
that's
for
as
7
happy as it
years.
could be.
Living in a house.
But very, very, very sorry for
Did
your
you
loss.
say they
OP.
have kids?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not that I know of. Samantha L says, when parents say things like that, it's usually because they have life experience and are sometimes right. But that, folks, is the end of that story and the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you
And see you tomorrow.